What's going on, people? Welcome back to AFTV. Welcome back to another AFTV Reacts. And today we'll be discussing the Tielemans links and the Gabriel Jesus links to Arsenal. And if you guys would want to see those two players here at Arsenal in the summer, or you might have some other different options that you want to, discuss and look at. But before that, we're going to be going straight into North London Derby talk. How is everyone feeling? What is the vibe right now? I'm joined with James B. What's going on, James? Do you know what? I've dropped the B recently. I normally just call you James.
There's no need for the B, that's why. It's there for no reason.
How are you?
Yeah, nervous, man. I really am nervous.
Yeah.
I took some comfort. I was just listening to Robbie and Troops' preview, and Troops said something I thought was. I like the way he phrased it. Robbie said, obviously, if we win, it's sealed. If we lose, it's advantage Tottenham. And Troops said, no, it's not advantage Tottenham. It's game on.
Yeah.
But it's not advantage Tottenham. And I did sit and that gave me a little bit of comfort. Where for a second I thought, it's very rare you go into a North London derby and there really is a second chance after it.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, often because Arsenal and Tottenham rarely find themselves in these situations where they go head to head in the days and weeks before, the end of the season or let's say it was like a cup final, cup semi-final, whatever. Normally the game will be at some point in the season where you play the game and then you've got to lick your wounds after. Arsenal will have a second chance at this if it goes wrong because we will be ahead and we'll have two other games. And again, it keeps playing into, so how does Arteta approach this one?
Right.
How does he approach the game knowing that there is that buffer? Does it mean we're more expansive? Does it not? So, yeah, I like the way he phrased that no matter what happens, it's not advantage Tottenham by the end of tomorrow, but it will be about whether we've sealed it or it's game on.
How many second chances have we had this season? It feels like this Arsenal side has been... I know it's not a second chance for North London Derby, but just in a sense of really thinking it's over for our season and then finding our ways back into it. We've had so many of those. Maybe more than, definitely more than 2, 3, maybe at the start of the season, obviously 3 losses. People thought were in turmoil, fan base going crazy, sitting bottom of the table while Tottenham sit top of the table. How things have changed, by the way. But there was that, obviously there was a period as well, I think in kind of January was a bad run as well. We bounced back from there. Obviously the 3 defeats as well against Palace, Southampton and Brighton. There's been so many times where the side has, I don't even want to say clawed it back, because is it really down to them that they've been in this position, or is it down to the other teams around them, or are you
No, you've got to give credit to the players, because I know they've lost a lot of games, and what's been hard to stomach is how it's been, 3 games at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Then we seem to turn it around. Then it's 3 and 4 games when we lost to Liverpool, Man United and Everton. We talked about, can Arsenal show character and go to 3 typically tough places to go?
Yeah.
Lost all 3 of them. Then you look at the big crunch period after the international break. Right, now we're in the end game. Can Arsenal do it now? They lose 3 games.
Yep.
I think it's because it's kind of, they've come as sort of big waves, and when it does, you sit there, and Tottenham fans have done this, and United fans have done this, but obviously Arsenal and Tottenham still in the race. Tottenham fans, when they lost to Wolves and Southampton in that week, were saying, we're not getting top 4. You can't lose 2 home games to mid-table clubs and expect to get top 4.
Yeah.
But the nature of finishing 4th is different and has been for a good 3-4 years now. You don't have to be perfect across a season, but you've got to have enough about you. And what Arsenal have been doing is putting together runs of 5 straight away games and generally beating the teams they should be at home, with a couple of exceptions. And that is why we have kept ourselves in this scrap.
Yeah.
Tottenham, on the other hand, have kept themselves in the scrap because they've actually been competitive at the Etihad, and they were competitive at Anfield, and they've managed to find goals in their team where actually they don't play the best football, they don't create a lot of chances, but Son and Kane don't need a lot. Kulusevski I'm going to chuck in there as well. So both have just found enough. They found enough rhythm, and they found enough to drag themselves into this race.
Okay, well listen, James, I'm doing this, obviously we're doing this AFTV Reacts with you, and I like to, angle shows towards the guests I'm with and who I'm joined by. So you were very much fearful of Spurs because of Antonio Conte. There was many a times where we spoke about, Liverpool obviously got a better side than us, and City as well. They got good managers. Man United had better players. Obviously, we know where they are now, but that was a fear before obviously the position we're in. And then you always refer to Tottenham having Antonio Conte, obviously Harry Kane and Son as well, but mainly your focus was on him. I want to kind of get your feelings where you're at right now. If we go and win tomorrow, and we pipped Tottenham for that fourth spot. Are you still saying no? Conte is still a big fear for me because I know the quality of this manager, and next season we may see more of it. Or are you saying maybe I was a bit just apprehensive in I was being a bit too cautious when it came to Antonio Conte? Or do you generally believe like it's still going to work for him? Because there's some Tottenham fans, by the way, but I spoke with yesterday, said he might not even be here next season. So where are you right now on him as a manager? Still
write Antonio Conte off at your peril. Like, he is,
well, you're still there.
You're
still there.
He's an unbelievable manager.
Okay, I'll just check where you was at.
The only way he doesn't succeed is if Tottenham don't give him what he needs to succeed.
Right.
And listen, that's a very real possibility. They've had other top managers. I know Mourinho wasn't the Mourinho of old, but they had Jose Mourinho, they had Pochettino, and they didn't back their managers. Listen, they spent money, by the way, a little bit like Arsenal. There's this kind of lazy things thrown around. Oh, they don't spend money. They have spent money, and Arsenal have spent money and had spent money before Arteta as well. But no, while Antonio Conte's at Tottenham, I'll always be a little bit concerned because he's. We talk about ceiling when we're talking about players' potential.
Of course.
I saw someone on Twitter, I can't remember who it was, they described him as a floor raiser. Like, he takes what you think is a player's worst and he'll bring them up. Yeah. Like, there's a certain level you think, that's all you're going to get and probably know better. And then he'll manage to drag out consistency from players he shouldn't be able to, and find something from those. I remember when he turned Victor Moses into the best right wing back in the world.
Very true.
Like,
very true. Won some trophies with, and changed him completely. Yeah, with
Marcos Alonso has always been a talented but limited player, really. But as a left wing back, and Tuchel's done the same, Conte was able to get goals out of him and just something. And I think he's got that ability. And while he's at Tottenham, I'll always be worried. But
can you give Arteta credit for that quickly before you move on and say your but? For doing that, raising the floor of certain players in the sense of Granit Xhaka. You've said many times, I've seen the best of Granit Xhaka under Mikel Arteta. I mean, that's one example. I mean, Eddie Nketiah, I suppose, is now starting to find form, but I don't really blame that. I'm not going to give credit to Arteta for that, actually, because he took a long time and he said he was wrong in not giving him more time previously. But players that raising the floor for other players in his Arsenal side, can Arteta get credit for that, or is it more those senior managers because of the experience they've had in the game?
I think Conte's style.
The FA Cup, sorry, is a prime example of that. Sorry, the team we had the FA Cup and winning that with Arteta, raising the floor.
He did very well there, but yeah, Arteta's undoubtedly shown. I mean, he was getting a real tune out of Mustafi in his first 6 months at the club. David Luiz, I thought we saw the best.
Quality.
David Luiz at Arsenal under Arteta. Granit Xhaka, there's no doubt that we play a certain system, well, I've never known whether to praise Xhaka for it or Arteta, but he used to be a player that you'd see him getting overrun in midfield, and that doesn't happen anymore. So is that because of the system? We're a lot more compact, a lot more organised, we offer more options, or is it because Granit Xhaka has improved? I don't know. But either way, they've been a really good match for each other, Xhaka and Arteta, I have to say.
They have.
So with Conte, though, I think it's a style thing. I think Conte will always preach, I need 100 million, I need this, I need that. The reality is that he's the kind of manager that he squeezes every little drop he can out of what he's got. And that's why I think makes him dangerous. With Arteta, I've never felt that's his style. I think Arteta can coach players, can get what he can out of them, can improve their level, but generally I think it's about having the right players to get the best out of Arteta. Like, if you've got the players that will do what he wants to do, play the game the way he wants to play it, then you'll see what Arteta's football's all about.
I think there's elements of both, because I think him not going signing anyone in the January window and going with such a bare thin squad and getting the best out of the thin squad he has. I think there's signs of it. I think you're right with Antonio Conte with doing it to a better degree. But I think you got to give him credit to Arteta. He's had a thin squad and made the best out of it, and brought in players that some may not even thought about. Really found a tune out of them.
He has, and it's hard, responding to that sounds like I'm trying to discredit Arteta. I'm not, but a lot of that thin squad he's got have Arteta's stamp of approval on them. Ramsdale's his signing.
Yep.
White's his signing. Gabriel's his signing. Tierney, we know he loves him. Tomiyasu's his signing. Cedric's his signing. Partey's his signing. Xhaka he gave a new deal to. Odegaard's his signing. Martinelli new deal to. Saka new deal to. Eddie, how many times has he talked about how much he loves him? Otherwise you're looking at Rob Holding gave a new deal to. A lot of them have Arteta's stamp of approval on them. They're there because he wants them there. It's not like he's just got a squad, he's having to deal with it.
Okay, cool. He got rid of the players that he feels like weren't well for him really. So I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, he's got. Undoubtedly, I'd also say he's got more out of certain players than I expected him to at times. I think El Neni. How often was he criticised as sideways, backwards, and now we're seeing a really progressive midfielder who's all about keeping the ball till that right pass forwards is there, and that I think is in large part down to Arteta in the way he's worked with him.
Okay, let's. I'm going to quickly ask you as well, and guys, like I said, getting your thoughts and feelings ahead of the North London derby. I want to know how everyone's kind of feeling. A lot of talk right now. We've got someone here saying, Javier Quintanilla says, guys, I'm going to be in Orlando, bit in bold capital writing. And then Peter Flair with a super chat says, James and Cecil, America awaits. Now,
yeah,
I'm gonna go back to the football talk, but James, just the thought of obviously we're gonna head over to the pre-season tour. We could potentially be in Orlando as a group. I think people just be prepared for the content. I believe we're gonna be our own devices with cameras and having our own experience. You might see the fully clean, Robbie and his version on his camera, and us doing the pre-season tour. Then there'll be us probably with our own camera having a whale of a time, completely different side of content. But I'm very much looking forward to that pre-season tour. But do you know what? It actually does also depend on this game tomorrow. I'm not saying that it would change my experience, but I feel like if we win tomorrow and I can relax, I can really build towards the excitement of going on pre-season tour with the AFTV family and seeing the fans and go and watch Arsenal over in Orlando. So obviously it's going to be good. Like some production in the back just said it's going to be good whether or not. But I kind of want to get to a stage where top four is secured and we can just relax. I can't do. This season has been a roller coaster of emotion, absolute roller coaster. I've come in. Sometimes never known how to felt. I've always been stressed watching games, whether it's a Burnley or if it's a Liverpool versus Liverpool game. Like I've always been very stressed, and I kind of want to get to a point where we're just really relaxed and looking forward to summer. But yeah, it will be something that I know you're excited for as well.
Yeah, I'm. If we go, yeah, it'd be amazing. And it's good to see that Arsenal. I think the wider thing is that I know they were going to last summer, but I believe it'd be their first tour post-pandemic. And you saw with the AFTV crew going to Nigeria, there's such a massive Arsenal fan base around the world. So for Arsenal to be able to reconnect with a lot of the American Gooners and be out in Orlando, Baltimore as well, I think that will be massive for both the club and the fans out there. If we can be a part of it, that'd be really special.
Okay, let me just. I was on Twitch live earlier, and a comment come up and said, "Are we all Leeds fans tonight?" Now, this is a big question. So this is a question on who, as a fan, because I'm avoiding doing this. I'm not looking above what's going on below there. So, of course, I don't like seeing Chelsea win anyway. So obviously, I want Leeds to win. But are you keeping an eye on that first spot? People in the comments, are you looking at third more than just securing fourth? Because I can't do this. Let's get third, because to me there's not much difference. Oh, the screen's went. Oh, it's back. Sorry, the screen went blank. But let me ask you, what are you kind of doing? Are you looking below?
There's a potential plot twist in this, which is naturally we're closer to Chelsea. We're miles from Leeds. I want Leeds to win, so that hopefully if we even if we get a draw, maybe we catch up on Chelsea or whatever. But if Everton win, that potentially makes our game against Everton on the final day much tougher. And what does it mean as well for Tottenham Burnley on the weekend? You know, so does a Leeds win maybe mean Burnley are kind of going to be fighting even more in that Spurs game? But then the same will be true of Everton next week. There's still quite a lot of football to be played. Listen, ultimately I want Leeds to win because I want to focus on who's around us and try and catch Chelsea. And if we can suck Chelsea into it even more, then that would be a good thing. But I've been thinking about this, so we're a point behind Chelsea.
Yep.
And we're 4 ahead of...
We've got the table here.
And we're 4 ahead of Spurs. So if Spurs win, I mean, my word, we hope they don't. But if they win and Leeds win, Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs will all be within 2 points of each other.
Oh, wow.
And Chelsea will have Leicester at home, I believe.
Yes.
And then Watford at home. I'm pretty sure it's a home game.
I can double check, yeah.
Have a little look.
So if we
I'm pretty sure.
Bear with me.
I'm pretty sure it'll be a home game for Chelsea.
I know they've got Leicester next, so you're correct with that, yep. And then
Leicester at home, Watford at home. I mean, look, Leicester's the only one you can see them slipping up. They'll beat top Watford comfortably. But suddenly they're sucked into it. So if you're a Chelsea fan, regardless of what you do tonight, you probably want Arsenal winning that derby just so that Spurs stay well clear of it.
Yeah. But then it puts them under pressure that third spot could be ours as well. But they're
probably not as bothered about it. They're probably just...
Surely they
want to make
see
sure 4th is sealed.
Surely they want to see a draw.
That's exactly what they'd want to see.
That's what they want to see.
But I think if they had to pick a winner, maybe they're choosing Arsenal.
Which is interesting to think. Well, yeah, no.
Purely because...
Everyone hates Tottenham. But no,
think, if Arsenal Spurs draw and Chelsea lose, they'd still be 4 clear of Spurs. And it's interesting.
It is.
I don't think they're going to want a Spurs win. But if they win tonight, then I don't think they'll really care. They'll have hit 70 points and then they'll have 2 home games, so they'll be comfortable, Chelsea. How
do you think? I mean, we can't talk about another team too much, but honestly, that game, that Leeds versus Chelsea game, how do you think that will kind of play out? Because I was saying Turkish thinks that he predicted a draw, or he said Leeds will probably win actually because how poor Chelsea have been. But I've said Leeds were just as poor against us, so it swings and roundabouts. But do you just a like quick prediction how you think it's going to go? What's
Leeds Chelsea?
Yeah, tonight.
I think Leeds will huff and puff and Chelsea will win it 2-0.
Okay. AFC Protagonist says AFTV come to Baltimore. It's in the plans. Hopefully we'll be out there for the pre-season tour. The ticker below says talking about obviously some of the press conference stuff that came out today. Saka. I'm just going to do the last little rounding off before we go into the talk of the potential links to Arsenal when it comes to strikers and midfielders. But Saka being available tomorrow, how important would it be if he is? And people in the comments as well, how would you feel if he's not available? So if he doesn't play, does it alter Arsenal enough to be a very big worry for you as a fan that we can't get the job done? Because a lot of the attack has gone through Saka. However, there's some games he's been quiet, but because most teams target him to try and stop him, and we've still come out with a victory because we have such threats like Martin Odegaard and Martinelli.
I'm personally not worried. Are you worried about it?
Yeah.
Are you worried that he's not available?
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah. Now I'll take. So I was thinking about it, but no, I definitely am. I know.
I don't think I am. I think.
Do you think it's mind games from Arteta or not? Or do you just think?
No, I think he's genuinely been picking up knocks. He came off for Pepe the other day. He's played so much football this season. He's been so important to what Arsenal are trying to do. But I think he'll be fit. I don't know. There's not been a lot of talk around Saka. I think that was a bit of a surprise one in the press conference. So I think he'll be fit.
Do you know what worries me, James? I think it's a replacement. So obviously he could bring in Emil Smith-Rowe and then Martinelli and swap the wings and play both of them. But if it sounds harsh, but I've seen enough of Pepe. I mean, I've been the first to criticise him back right from the beginning. I tried. I really tried to be on his side.
He's struggled. He's not played a lot, but he's struggled.
He's struggled. So then if Saka isn't available, if the answer is Pepe, that does, in my opinion, does worry me. I think it does slightly hinder the side in a sense. But
well, I think the Smith Rowe Martinelli debate and how they've actually both done quite well when they've been called on recently probably tells you that he'll be happy to. He started Smith Rowe against United, didn't he? He'll probably tell you that he's quite happy to, if Saka's injured, have him on the bench, move Martinelli to the right. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm reading some of the comments here. Gunning you down says start Pepe then, and then Max straight away underneath him says Smith Rowe, Martinelli and Odegaard if no Saka. So, and then Genie20 says no Saka, no Partey. Deep 11 says Saka has been burnt down, in a sense of which means burned out, like he's been played a lot. But that is, for me, a bit of a worry. I don't know how you guys feel if he's not in the side tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, we should still have the answers. But for me, Saka is a key part to this. Now, it did also mention about Thomas Partey and Kieran Tierney before we move on. Obviously, being not available. This is a conversation I think I wanted to have. I didn't know I'd be doing it on this show, but it's kind of an uncomfortable one in the sense of Kieran Tierney. He's injury prone now. I think that's the label we can give him. I can read out some of his numbers. Missed through injury 47 games out of over 3 seasons. So he's basically, in theory, missed a whole season and more through injury. That's a lot of games. People obviously dubbed him to be the second in command when it comes to captaincy. A lot of people question because of his injury rate that shouldn't be possible. Yeah, it's going to throw up a conversation for the summer transfer window. Would you be angry at seeing Tierney move on, or do you think because Turkish believes we should still not give up on Tierney and give him a chance and maybe bring up a backup left back, even though we have Tavares, bring in someone else and keep Tierney on the side and maybe have someone that can basically challenge Tierney for that spot? Or if a good figure came in for Tierney, would you mind seeing him leave in the summer because of this injury record?
No, I wouldn't let him go. I think he's quite unique, Tierney. Bit of an old school left back, tucks his shirt in.
Wears short sleeves.
No, but he loves a tackle. Yeah, like he's kind of very. He loves the ugly side of the game. He's also. I think at times he's not as fluid as I'd like him to be as a footballer. He's not as nimble, but he's technically a very good footballer. He's got a good pass on him. He's got a very good cross. He loves to drop the shoulder, beat his man and get a ball into the box. I think over time Arteta will devise a system that sees him get forward more. So last season he was very much the outlet. It was give it to Tierney and hope he creates something. Yeah. So I'd give him another year. I really like him. I think Kieran Tierney's don't come around that often. And that's not just because I think he's a very good player, which I do think. I just think it's everything that comes with him. Incredibly humble, hard-working player. Really, I think, cares about the badge, cares about the club. He's the kind of guy you want by your side going into the North London derby. Yeah, I really wish he was playing this game.
Good. I think he probably really wishes he'd love he'd love to be involved.
He's the kind of guy who'd go out to flares and smoke bombs and a mad atmosphere and go, brilliant, you've just raised my performance 20%. Yeah. So I'd give Tierney another year personally, 100%. Listen, the injury thing is a concern. It is, because there gets to a point where you go, especially if you're talking about captaincy, but if you're talking about first team regulars, could be someone who is literally a regular, and he hasn't been that. But I kind of don't care right now. Maybe next year, but for now, I just want to get some adequate backup, add some depth. Hopefully, it will also mean we can rest him more freely. I think before this injury, I think he was playing with a bit of an injury or a discomfort or something. If you've got the right depth, you don't need to do that. So can you say it's necessarily his fault? So,
I don't know. Okay.
Well, if he's got a discomfort and a slight injury and he's been made to play all the games, I'm not saying that's true. I think I read that or heard that somewhere, but I definitely heard that he had a problem. I think before he went to play for Scotland. Then that. But ideally, you don't want to be forcing players to play.
But then, did he go and play? He went and played for Scotland, right?
I think he did.
But this is another thing though, because most players,
I can't remember, actually.
Most players, from my experience, when they're injured, even if it is a slight niggle, they never want to admit it. They want to play every game, especially if he's wanting to go and play for Scotland. He's not going to admit that, I should be resting for my club. He's going to want to go and play. So I'm worried about. I'm going to be honest. I'm concerned about his.
And he sums it up. He says, "Give Tierney one more season. If injuries are still the same next season, sell him summer 2023." He's put a sad face.
But this is the thing.
Yeah,
this is the thing that's causing debate, because Max says Tierney the only official part-time pro footballer, which is what people have said. There's a lot of debate around this. Serco FF says Crucarella, obviously from Brian.
Yeah, Lynn's also the same.
He's probably one of my favourite players. When we do our video, that's going to be my player.
Yeah,
from Brighton.
He's a very good player.
Deep 11 says, I was really disappointed by Tierney's injury this season. These are the things. Connor McDonald says, will not have any KT slander. He can come back to Celtic if you're going to diss him. Easily in your top 3 top players. No one's dissing the player. We understand how good Tierney is when he's fit. I'm a big fan of his. Turkish is a massive fan of his. James is a big fan of his. But these are conversations that I know not many fans want to have, but it's only right to highlight. When you've missed that many games for injury, 47 games, it's a conversation to be had. But yeah, okay, so I want to quickly move on then to Partey as well. Obviously, we're not going to get rid of Partey, clearly not. But everyone is focusing on Partey, Tierney's kind of injury record. But I've got Partey's here as well. 2 seasons, 30 games out for Thomas Partey through injury. Almost a season. Now, wasn't injured at Atletico Madrid. Wasn't an injury-prone player. Is it fair to say now here at Arsenal, or would you say that's still a bit of a stretch? It's early on in his career, but missing that many games, is it a concern for you, and do you deem as an injury-prone?
I'm actually working on getting a video done for AFTV with guys who know what they're talking about when it comes to this.
Was that? Oh no, you're saying it. Okay,
No, because I think as football fans, we don't really know what we're talking about when we say, this player's come to Arsenal and become injury prone, or this medical department's not very good, or this, that. A lot of it is bad luck. A lot of it can be explained because of the nature of playing for Arsenal or playing a certain way or whatever it might be. I don't know. Look, again, it's not a great record at all. But he's also had spells of a few months where he has been fit, and this injury he's got now, I think, was his first since October, maybe. So he did go a good 5 months available for Arsenal. So yeah, I don't really know what more to add to that. I mean, is he injury prone? He has been at Arsenal.
Sorry, that wasn't a full wholesome question. Now I was just wondering if you're concerned about him having this.
I'll always worry about when players had regular injuries in a short space of time. I'll always worry about their availability. Yeah, and look, these are 2 guys who would love to have been available for tomorrow, and we'd love to have had them available. But they're not.
Yeah, no. Okay, James. Let me pass it over to you now, and let's talk about some links. I know we've been half an hour in. Apologies, I didn't realise the whole start was going to run on for that long.
I have to change the title of this after.
Let's discuss, transfer links. That would you be happy to see Tielemans, Jesus as well? Obviously now that Haaland's at Man City.
Yeah.
How realistic are these possible incomings from these players?
Well, I think clubs are learning to get ahead with their business now. And by ahead, I mean, I think they're trying to be smarter in markets. I think they're trying to look at, Erling Haaland would have gone for about 100 million last summer. City recognised that he's going to have a release clause next year. The guy we really want, Harry Kane, isn't worth what Tottenham are demanding. So we'll go back in a year after and we'll do what we can for now. And listen, do what we can for now is a pretty privileged position for a club like Man City. But they waited and they probably saved, I'm not joking, 70, 80 million maybe. Maybe even more by waiting for the release clause to activate, and they did. And in that, Haaland probably got a better deal for himself. I don't know, but that's just how it tends to work in football. You look at Rudiger, signed a pre-contract agreement now with Real Madrid. Christensen, I think, might have done one with Barcelona. The only players who don't get on and make their decisions quickly are Arsenal players. We don't know now what is going to be going on with Lacazette and Nketiah or whatever, but we don't care as long as they're doing the business for us. With Arsenal, it definitely feels like there's an active effort to get certain business going quickly. I think there's a lot of stuff in place. Just from what I read, just when I see David Ornstein's got a hold of a story, then I always think, you know, he's the big dog in this game.
Yeah.
He knows something, and if he knows and he's talking about it, then it's legit. And he's mentioned Tielemans, he's mentioned Gabriel Jesus, Fabrizio Romano's done the same. Lots of other journalists have talked about it. Charles Watts said back in January that Arsenal were talking to Yuri Tielemans, but it wasn't over a deal for January.
Yeah, I remember that.
But that they were just in discussions and exploring possibilities. Now, Arsenal, I think, have been tracking these players for a while, have been looking at their situations, and have probably done with quite a few. These have come to the forefront, and now we're probably in a position where, I don't know how it works, I'm kind of making this up. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a piece of paper, everything is filled out by the signature, and Jesus and Tielemans are just sat there just waiting like this, going, seal Champions League.
Yeah, just waiting for it.
Get Champions League football, and boom. Because again, it's made its way to mainstream media. It makes complete sense. A year left on both their deals. They're going to go for very reasonable fees. It'd leave Arsenal the ability to go spend big elsewhere as well. It fits the mould of Premier League proven, good age, ready to keep growing and developing with this squad and this team, whilst at the same time offering experience. But also, they're two players that I think fit three roles we really need. And the reason I say three is Gabriel Jesus adds depth on the wing and can be that lead number 9 we want. Yuri Tielemans is that, and I understand that there's concerns about how he gets about the pitch and whether he's kind of quick enough or whatever.
Yeah.
But he is a very, very talented just baller, just on the ball. He's gifted, he's tenacious, he's been doing it in the Premier League for a while, and I can exactly see why Arteta would want him. I can see how he plays as the left central midfielder with Partey and Odegaard. That is a midfield.
Yeah, I agree.
So, it wasn't. It was only a year ago that people were talking about Tielemans being the guy. You know, he is. Everyone was looking at Leicester, going, "Look, all these players they've got," and Tielemans was one of the hottest.
Has he dropped off this season a little bit though?
Maybe, but Leicester have dropped off.
That's a good point.
I've seen so many clubs go to Leicester and win. I used to think of that ground as a really tricky place to go.
King Power, yeah.
Arsenal went and won. Tottenham went and won. Chelsea went and won. And I know I'm mentioning big teams. Everton the other day went and won. Leicester haven't been the same. Now, I actually think they're going to bounce back next year under Brendan Rodgers. But Tielemans was a big part of their success, won the FA Cup, scored a screamer in the final. I just think it makes complete sense. I get it. And if you spend a combined 50, 60 million on Tielemans and Jesus, and then you're looking at, well, we spent 150 last summer, so you're looking at the 90 you got left, and you've addressed two key positions. Listen, I think that starts to look really exciting for Arsenal.
Yeah, no, is it the one that you want to see though, personally? Like, I hear what you're saying. I think the profile of Tielemans and Gabriel Jesus works for Mikel Arteta. I think it helps that Mikel Arteta obviously worked with Gabriel Jesus when he was at City with Pep as well. So that's also a little plus. I know fans are wanting to maybe potentially see a Sterling come through the door. But I understand Jesus because they've worked together. I understand that, you know, Arsenal have their business kind of prepped and ready for the summer window. I believe it was Edu that came out and said, we've got all our targets, we've made our kind of our judgments, and we've spoken to certain agents already, and it's all kind of ready to go, which does give me a bit of fear though of how many we're going to be bringing in. I don't think it's going to be as many signings as certain people I spoke with think it's going to be 6s or 5s or 6s or 7s.
I think it'll be 4 or 5.
I think it'll be, I think more towards the 3-4, but you know, we could hopefully unpleasantly surprised. But I do understand a Tielemans profile as well, a guy that kind of gets on with it. You don't really see him out in the media as well, very focused, plays his game. I think, I understand why Arteta has mentioned him and put him as, you know, a target for Arsenal. I just don't know, for me, I don't know if those two players, I don't want to say exciting enough, because the 6 signings we made in summer last season weren't exciting at all, but they've proven in abundance, you know, that they're worthy to wear the badge and get to where we are today. So it's an interesting two that we're focusing on.
I think when you look at them, when you look at the two, if you think about this Arsenal team, and probably the biggest problem we've got is a lack of goals, really. We're a side who, I mean, how many goals do Man City score a season? Maybe 80, 90?
Lot, yeah. But from all different positions.
I'd love to, let me have a little look at the Premier League table, just to see if I can make a point. Because Premier.
Harry Mansell says 3 or 4 realistic, but I think 5 or 6 is what we should aim for. Of course, I would love to see 5 or 6 come through the door.
So
I wonder how much do you think Tielemans? How much is Tielemans?
I think they'd say it'd be about 25
million. They said,
25 million.
I mean,
maybe.
that would be to be fair. That would be a steal. To be fair,
I think so. I mean, so Man City and Liverpool have scored 89 goals each this season. Arsenal have scored 56. So we need to make up basically 30 to 40 goals across a season.
Yes.
Now, I think when you look at these two signings, a lot of people have you seen Moneyball?
No,
movie.
No.
Brennan saying yeah in the
Brennan
background.
saying yeah. I thought it was a game show.
So basically, Moneyball is a really good film. Signed Jonah Hill and I can't remember who. Anyway, so basically, the reason I mentioned this, the concept was, and it's a true story about a baseball team who lost some of their kind of best players and their best. If you're talking pure stats, like the numbers they put up and the points they won.
Yeah.
And if I bring it to football terms, it'd be like losing your 30 goal a season striker, but you sign a striker who scores 10, a striker who scores 15, a winger who scores 10, and a midfielder who scores 5. Now, what that basically was, I guess you could call it outsmarting the market. It's essentially looking at where the value is, spending less, where the stats are maybe people playing above themselves, or basically making up the points and the goals elsewhere. Why am I saying all this? Because I think Arsenal, a lot of people are thinking Arsenal are going to go look for that 35, 40 goal a season striker. I don't believe, A, that that's out there and attainable, but B, that it's as easy as just, right, boom, Darwin Núñez.
Yeah, come in and he'll
50,
score
60 million, please, he'll bang loads of
I
goals.
don't think that's Arteta's style either, but go on, carry on.
I don't think it's Arteta's style. I think he's going to look at forwards and wingers who will all contribute potentially 10 to 15 goals.
Yeah.
But when you look at Gabriel Jesus, what does he offer that we haven't had? Well, pacing behind. Okay, Eddie's been doing that recently. But for a lot of the season, pacing behind, a player who can play wide, can put out to the left while Martinelli goes up front. A player who can drop in and link. We know that.
Yeah.
Scores goals with his head. Yuri Tielemans scores goals from the outside, at the edge of the box.
Yep.
Good on set pieces as well. I think if you're looking at pure numbers and stats, I think they contribute a lot more, or maybe not a lot more, but almost as much between them as a 30 goal a season striker might.
It's a good way. It is a very good way to look at it. It's interesting.
It's incredibly simplified because someone might say, well, why don't you go get Tielemans 10 goals from midfield, and why don't you get a 30 goal season striker as well, and then boom, Bob's your uncle.
Football's not like that either, though. And I think Arteta, profile-wise as well, you have to take that into consideration instead of just saying, "Oh, we can get both." I don't think that works like that. That Moneyball reference is a very good analogy to kind of depict it, James. So no, thank you for that.
Well, I think I don't think it's a coincidence that these rumours are coming out when they're coming out, which is before the end of the season. I think, even though we as Arsenal fans will be very stressed about the top 4 race and whether we're going to get it done, I think those other players will be sensing that it looks like Arsenal might do it. They'll be plotting their next moves and thinking about where they want to go, what they want to do. And I don't know, I just have a feeling that these two deals in particular, Tielemans and Jesus, are kind of waiting to go. They're kind of get it over the line with the Champions League, and they're ready. They're ready to be signed, still delivered.
The Champions League such a big factor, do you think, for them to really put that pen to paper? Gabriel Jesus, I kind of understand. Yuri Tielemans, he's done a lot with Leicester, but still, I think that's a bit. For him especially, I'm like, should you really be looking to see if Arsenal get Champions League football? Do you not see enough from what's happened this season?
No, I actually like that they are. I think it shows real ambition. These are two players who have been doing it in the Premier League, have had big moments, scoring goals in FA Cup finals, winning trophies, competing for the Champions League in Tielemans and Jesus, having obviously been in it ever since he's been at City. I think these are two players who are ready to say, we're ready to make the step up. And be more important and be even better players than we are now. And we're ready to give our best years to you, Mikel, and Arsenal and your project. But you've got to be ready to give us what we want in return. I've got no problem. I don't want just the whole, I want to play for Arsenal, that's all it means, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Now, it was great when someone like Thomas Partey left Atletico or whatever, but I think that was different. With these two, I think they're looking for the right next move, and I think they buy into what Arsenal are trying to do, but they just need Champions League football to get it over
Before
the
we
line.
go to the super chats and comments of
A lot of this is opinion, by the way.
no, it is.
There's not reports
Thank
out
you
there
very
saying...
much.
Some of them are. Some reports are saying if Arsenal get Champions League football, then they'll do it. A lot of it is just from what I've read, the fact that we're waiting, all that. I think it just says to me,
okay, let's just
get Champions League football.
Before we go to the comments and the super chats to kind of round off this show, I do want to get your it's opinion based show very much. Though I'm going to hone in on those two players, obviously Gabriel Jesus and Tielemans. We're going to need more than just that up front, as in a striker sense, because everything you've said today, I have enjoyed, and I like the fact that I understand that player profile and it can be diversified through that front line with Gabriel Jesus. However, that can be stopped if you lose Lacazette, if you lose Eddie Nketiah, and your main attack is Gabriel Jesus being a false nine and maybe using Saka and Martinelli. So you're going to need another striker alongside that of a different profile, which we can kind of, obviously there's no links right now, but we can just go talk about that. And then Tielemans as well. Being enough in a sense that, would you believe that he's going to be the player that becomes a regular starter for Arsenal next season? Is he priority number one in the sense that once Partey's back, Xhaka's available, El Neni, I'm assuming Xhaka's going to stay, I'm assuming Xhaka's going to be here, and I'm assuming El Neni may get an extension. Does Tielemans be that partner alongside Partey as number one?
Oh, sorry, we've got a queue of super chats I need to read out. I've just been... Oh, thank you. Thank you to production. Basically, you're asking, is Tielemans enough in midfield?
Right.
Yeah. I could see why people would want more. I've got this real fear of a day where Martin Odegaard picks up an injury.
Ooh.
And then I start thinking, who is the guy who makes it all happen, like who links it all together, and it's all. Some people say Smith Rowe, but I don't think Smith Rowe is that kind of player necessarily.
I think that's what we have that's the options we have right now.
But then, is there enough creativity in
who?
Odegaard, Smith Rowe, Tielemans. Ideally, I'd want more, but I think people need to. There's demanding the very best from the club.
No, yes.
There's being realistic. And then there's kind of somewhere in the middle where the club need to go a little bit beyond necessarily what's realistic and surprise you and give you something that, as a fan base, you think, okay. I wasn't expecting that. But
that's weird that you're saying that now after you've just given such an in-depth conversation, a debrief of how good those two signings were, not having those fancier names or those big, strikers score.
I would still... Last summer, it was all about Maddison and Odegaard.
Right.
And in the end, Arsenal chose Odegaard. I'd love us to go back in for Maddison. I think he's still a class player.
Didn't expect that from you.
And I think he's a little bit more output driven in terms of really good cross into the box. You know that space that Odegaard always picks up the ball in, kind of out towards the right.
Yeah.
And when he drives, he always ends up almost dropping the shoulder and then playing it wide to Saka. Mm-hmm. If Maddison gets that ball on the right, it's a straight ball into the box, isn't it? It's an area Kevin De Bruyne loves to pick up the ball in for Man City a lot.
True.
I think there's room for a Maddison in the squad. So, listen, whether it's him or whoever, I think Arsenal, to answer your question, no, I don't think Tielemans enough as the only central midfield addition, but I don't see Arsenal need to add firepower. And I think that will come, as I mentioned, in the form of Jesus, who might score 15, 20 a season. But it might come with another player who can score 15, 20. I think we need another winger. Then I do think Tielemans is a really shrewd bit of business. If we get him in, they can't do it all.
True.
You've got to look at who's coming through. Is Patino coming through?
That's another thing. And there's one thing
I don't know.
There's one thing as well that we always forget as fans. Players can improve. Players can be worked on to add to their game. This always sits in my mind as well. Like what Pep did with Sterling. Sterling needs to score more goals. He worked on him. He added goals to his game. Arsenal, for me, Martin Odegaard needs to shoot more. That's not taken away from how brilliant he is. I love how well he keeps the ball retention, whatever, his intricate little touches, the way he brings in players. But once he adds that, instead of passing to Saka to the right, he lets it off and adds goals to his game, which can happen through pre-season, through the start of the season. That also ticks off a box that we want a player to do that. he can just do that himself. It just takes a bit of time.
Yeah.
I've got
I've got a load here queued, so if I've I'll check. Clash. But Peter says James and Cecil, America waits. That would be amazing. What else have we got? Dr. Ill says, come on, you Gunners, we need all the energy from our fans for tomorrow. It'll be a mental, technical, physical and spiritual battle. Let's just get that up on screen. A spiritual battle, all fan differences aside, 2-1. And let's get Peters up there as well, who's saying that America awaits for us. And
I've got the rest of the super chats here to kind of round off here. From Nero, says, what about competing with City? We are Arsenal, come on, we can compete. We can compete with Jesus and Tielemans. We can compete with Jesus and Tielemans. He's obviously saying that we should be competing with City. I think it takes time. I think many teams are way off City and Liverpool at the moment. It's very clear they've just got Erling Haaland as well. Of course, that's where we want to be as a fan base. Of course, that's where we want to be as a team.
It does take time. And okay, we talk about we want to compete with Liverpool and City.
Of course.
All right. Well, let's compare ourselves to them then for a second. Look at Liverpool. It wasn't until this January. Okay, Klopp comes in, does a great. Okay,
yeah, gets 8th, and then he gets jumps,
fine. First full season, couple players, gets to 4th, does brilliantly. Cements 4th the year after.
Correct.
He's added Salah. He's got to Champions League final, right?
Sells Coutinho, makes all the money, brings in the players. Go.
It takes him till really the start of this season for people to start saying Liverpool have depth. How many times was everyone saying, well, Liverpool have a great first 11 and it could probably compete with City's, but the depth isn't there.
Yep.
And now you're talking about Diaz, Jota, Mane, Salah, Firmino, all for 5 players for 3 positions. Chuck Origi in there. Now you're talking their starting midfield of Henderson, Fabinho and Thiago. Well, they can bring in Keita, they can bring in Milner, they can bring in Harvey Elliott. 4 centre-backs, Konate, Van Dijk, Matip, Gomez. And that took a while to build because Klopp ultimately still would always say, these are the players I want the right players that fit what I'm going to do. They couldn't just spend whatever they wanted whenever they wanted. And even though they did obviously invest in their team. So, it does take time. We all have a picture in our head of what the perfect, ready-made, straight out of the oven, Arsenal good to go squad is. But it will take time, and even if by the end of this summer we look in a much better place, I promise you we won't be perfect.
And even still, with those perfect pitches that you think is going to work, go back to the start of the season when United made their signings and where you think they were going to finish at the start of the season. And look, it doesn't always work out like that. It takes time for a team to click.
The narrative at the start of the season was Man United have a team as good as any's, and now it's sell the lot of them bar 3. It's incredible. Thiago signed last summer before. Took a year to bed in, ended the season really well, but now it's a different Thiago.
It's quality now.
So who's to say Tielemans doesn't need a year? I mean, he's not coming from a different league, but pazienza, as we say in Italian, patience takes time.
I'm gonna use that. Take time with it. Eric. Eric's back. Says,
oh no, sorry Eric, I love you, but it's this guy, man.
Thank you for the super chat. Says, hi guys, I think Neves is better suit than Tielemans. I wish we adopt the Liverpool midfield style with 3 good passes. Neves, Partey, Xhaka would make a great mid trio and will make wingers play narrow. Dave Jordan says Jesus, Tielemans, Gakpo, Hickey is a realistic summer in my opinion.
It's a realistic summer, but that wouldn't be anywhere near enough. I will be honest. That would be underwhelming. While I'd be excited about some of those players, it would be underwhelming in my opinion.
Boubacar says, I think Gabriel Jesus can get you 20 plus goals a season. I mean, that if he's if obviously regular football,
listen, maybe
Arsenal can give him that. It's a great opportunity for him. I think it's a good opportunity for him. 20 goals a season plus would be interesting if he can get out of Arsenal. But listen, I expect him to get goals. 15 at most if he comes. Sam says, take Odegaard out and put Lokonga and keep our normal formation. We're playing on a counter-attack and all 3 midfielders can make a pass. Interesting take.
Lokonga, I think, will have more part to play next season.
100%.
I think we'll see him evolve into more of a box-to-box player because he's been used at the base a lot when he's played this season, but the attribute I think has gone under the radar is passing. I know he gives the ball away a lot sometimes, but he's been picking out passes over the top, and threaded through balls here and there. That I think there's a real creator in there.
He's extremely composed as a midfielder playing for Arsenal and of his age as well. I feel like once he's beside someone with seniority and experience, I think you'll see the best of Lokonga, which I think, again, we'll probably see that next season. AFC protagonist, again, back with Super Chat, says, if Forest stay down, Jed Spence, ? Gimme Gnabry too. A lot of people want Gnabry back.
Yeah.
Interesting though about Jed Spence. There was a lot of rumours floating around, but I think maybe that was us. I think as a fan base really wanting.
Cuffy. We'll keep an eye on him. I think he'll be in the squad next year.
That's a name that we'll probably hear next season. Right, that is it for today's AFTV Reacts from myself. Is there anything else you want to close off with, James, at all? It's North London Derby Day tomorrow, though.
One night's sleep.
I'm excited.
I'm nervous.
I'm excited.
I'm nervous.
Of course I'm nervous, but honestly, I'm excited. It's going to be... I'm buzzing, actually. I can't wait for it.
I'm stressed. I am stressed. But don't let me project that onto all of you. So... Don't
feel like I feel. Feel like me. Thank you.
Like Cecil.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us AFTV Reacts. Please hit a like if you've enjoyed this video and subscribe if you're new. I'm doing this thing now. Like this video if you want Arsenal to win. That's my new thing.
That's a good one. Yeah.
And if you want to join the merch collection, go to shop.aftv.co.uk and come get some of the new merch and join the family. Thank you all for watching this live, and we'll see you again very soon. Take care.